Paper was like gold in medieval times.
Oh, not tobacco, sugar.
That everything we thought we knew about the world might turn out to be completely wrong.
They were wearing it, they were wrapping the remains of dead people in it, they were paying taxes with it. It had a lot of uses. If you're wearing clothes made from the bark of a tree that you have to beat, and somebody shows up with a piece of fabric, that is some serious new technology. People still want things the way they were. My name is Dalani Tanahi. I am a professional kapa maker. If somebody feels like they need kapa in their life, then I will help them get kapa in their life. I got an interest in kapa when I was in college. I was already an artist and I perceived that it was kind of rare, but it actually took about 15 years before I could learn how to do it. Come on, come on. I always say I was learning it from DNA, that as a Hawaiian woman, there must be some gene that locks specifically into making kapa. There's just so much with this one tiny little beet tree bark art. It always kept me very interested. Let's say I wanted to make a kapa skirt. First I have to figure out the size because that's going to determine how many trees I need. Paper mulberry is not like a tree. It's actually makes you think more of bamboo sometimes because it has this hollow space right down the middle of it. Traditionally, every family would have been growing the vauke trees, the paper mulberry trees. And then when you have people stop making kapa, that tree kind of literally stopped growing. You couldn't even find it growing wild. And so when people wanted to revive kapa, these trees weren't around. Every step of the process contributes to the final piece. You can't let your mind wander too far. You don't want to make a mistake in anything.
Come on this side of the stick and
This is coming off very nicely. And then we'll roll this up and I'll put it inside of some water just to keep it from drying out while I process the other trees. This will go out at least 4 times its original width. We're going to beat the fibers out and try and get them to spread a little bit so the water can get in and soak into it and get it to start fermenting or start breaking down so that we can join pieces together to make them bigger. The women who actually pounded Kapa, we haven't found anything written by them. So even in us having revived this art, there are still a lot of things that we don't know what they did and how they did it and why they did it. And so part of our bringing this art back has always been trying to figure out exactly what they did. The first beating was preparation, The second beating is actually making the kapa. So as it gets bigger, it stretches, huh? So if you pick it up and pull it, it stretches just a little bit. So if you can pull it over with something, then it makes it more even as you're beating it out. There's a nuance to learning how to beat where the energy is not just coming straight down. It's very rhythmic, it's not high. I don't raise my hands up more than, maybe an inch above the kua and the kapa itself. It's something that people kind of have to develop a feeling for. I think bringing Kapa back as a political agenda probably fell into line with reviving traditional crafts and traditional arts in general as a source of Hawaiian pride. What did our ancestors do that we don't know how to do now, and are we able to figure it out? If we go to the museum and look at it, can we recreate it? Is there anybody else who's interested that we can teach this to? See, and Wes uses all ironwood. The ones he makes for the kids? We didn't all come out of a school of learning. We all learned our own ways. And when we get together, we talk about, some new thing we discovered or some new technique or something that we found. If you talk to any of the kapa makers, they're going to tell you there was something in it that they felt either a connection to or responsibility for, that they needed to learn it and that they need to teach it.
Don't go up.
See, when you guys were learning to make the kapa, you were still little small potatoes. When you guys used to pound, you guys didn't know how to scrape yet. You guys gotta wash off your feet before you walk back each of those pieces I have, I'm going to beat them out. I'm going to try and make them wider. And then as they get wider and thinner, I'm going to start beating them together. Sometimes people think that we're put it on the edges to get the size, but we really stack it all together. And then when you beat it, all the fibers should join into a single piece. But now because you have so much bulk, you can just keep beating and bringing it out. So my 6 feet is set, but my width is going to be whatever I want based on how much material I put into it, how many trees I put in. The second beater is the kuku, and each of those sides is grooved. Each of those grooves has a different purpose. The one that has 3 grooves, it actually spreads the fiber apart very quickly after it's been fermented. And then each subsequent one spreads it, but then also compresses it and starts making the kapa have a memory to stay together. When you're finished beating, then your last beat will be with the watermark pattern. So we brought the kapa to the width that I want it to be, 36 inches, and now I'm going to beat the final watermark into it. Sometimes it's just decorative, but it can also be a part of the story you're telling. For this particular kapa, the meaning is le hulu, or hulu mamo, the feathers of the birds. And that's in reference to the purpose of this skirt is to honor Queen LILI UOKALANI. So once we finally finished with the kapa, meaning we've gotten to the size we wanted it to be, we've gotten it to the thickness we want it to be, we're going to set it out to dry. And traditionally they would lay it out and pull it out and put stones around it to hold it down and keep it from blowing around in the wind. So we're going to make a kapa for Vicky Holt Takamine, who is a well-respected kumuhula and Hawaiian cultural teacher and practitioner in the community. I asked her for some inspiration for this kapa, and she said it was going to be performed in, so someone would wear it, it would be a kapa pa'u. So we're going to see one of Auntie Vicky's students dance hula kahiko, or the ancient hula style. It won't be accompanied by singing or ukulele or anything like that. It will be accompanied by a pahu drum. And we want to create this specific kapa based on a chant that she found. And the chant is about the queen, Queen LILI UOKALANI. The last monarch in Hawaii was Queen LILI UOKALANI. She came in as the queen in a very tempestuous time. There were a lot of foreign influences who had been slowly working their way in, and ultimately she was overthrown by American businessmen. She was actually taken prisoner. There were Hawaiians who actually wanted to fight. They were way outgunned. And the queen at this point said that she could not bear that another Hawaiian spill another drop of blood. The monarchy was overthrown. The kingdom was lost. The queen represents an example of Hawaiian people at their best. She represents just, I think, the best of what a nation of self-determined people can be. In honor of who this skirt was made for, we'll be performing at the palace at the statue of the Queen. I think it'll be a beautiful thing to see in that particular venue. VIP treatment, come on in, come on in. For your Kapa,
This is our piece.
this is one of our pieces. We're doing 2 of them.
Lovely.
And so we can bunch them all around her and have lots of throw and flow.
Yeah. I'm loving the texture. Look at that. I came to Dalani with this idea for the skirt because I thought that she would connect with the project. As I have been inspired to do the dance, I thought she would be inspired by the text of this particular chant to make a skirt for LILI UOKALANI.
As I was looking at that chant, that really stuck in my head, and as I was kind of trying some things out, I kind of fell on this colors.
It's not about the passing of our queen, but it's about the legacy that she left for all of our people. Nice.
So this particular watermark, I was thinking because it was about Liliu, the mamo feathers and the feathers, all the symbols of royalty. For
Yeah.
That, then that's why I like that one for this particular.
Nice.
color.
I've always been proud to be Hawaiian, but I'm never more proud than when I see a beautiful piece of kapa or a beautiful hula being performed by other people. So this practice of kapa making really had to be revived by a handful of practitioners that are stubborn. Native Hawaiians are stubborn. We want to know about how our people did this, and it's a lot of hard work. We don't have the material culture, if we don't have the language, if we don't have the performers, the dance and the music that was traditional. If we don't continue the practice, then we'll lose it for the next generation.
I'm just flattening down the watermark a little bit. So I actually was rubbing it with the stone just to make it so that when I print with the stamps, and it won't kind of won't mess the print up. When kapa dries, it's actually pretty stiff. It feels just like a piece of cardboard. So I actually have to spend a lot of time softening it so that when she's dancing, it'll have a nice movement to it. So I started just breaking that stiff feel by crushing it and opening it and crushing it and opening it until you make it soft. I want to see this kapa move, not exactly like a piece of cloth, but closer. The brown we're using, that dye takes a little bit of time to make ordinarily. It's from the bark of the kuku nut tree, and that tree is also called the candle nut tree. If we scrape some of that outer bark off, then you can see the sap inside of there, and we can take that and boil it down and then make a kind of a reddish brown color out of that. The designs I'm using on this skirt are ones I've seen in the old collections. It's my way of honoring the work of our ancestors by using them again. I wanted to do kind of a traditional look and yet something kind of bolder, because when we see things being performed in, and you kind of realize, oh, I probably could have gone bigger than I did. As we saw our own ancestors innovate and move forward, we continue. We pick up kind of where they put it down, and we picked it back up, and then we're still running with it. We rarely call ourselves artists, because the artistry is being involved with all the plants and all the earthy things that are part of what makes Kapa. Even when I put the paint on, sometimes I don't make it all dark. I leave it where you can see these little bits of the watermark coming through it. Then you're kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting. It's not a piece of paper. It's something else. One of the ohe kapala, the bamboo stamp that I carved for this particular skirt is, it's like the tip of a spear. Each of those spears has a hole in it. And I chose it for this pa'u skirt. I thought about what this could mean in this context. We have the queen telling her people, don't fight. I was thinking of the power of the native people who had spears as weapons against the power of the invaders who had cannons and guns. This part is its own meditation. When you're pounding, that's a particular meditation, you know, and you can just go wherever in your mind. When you're printing, you have to, you know, kind of be on top of it. And then I printed a row with the thorn design 3 times. And then I started printing another row, and then that row kind of went off kilter. It wasn't lined up perfectly with the others. And so I looked at that and I decided just follow that line. Even though it was going way off base, maybe that represented, you know, Hawaiians kind of taking a new path in trying to redefine their self-determination. It's not just a painting. It's got to look Hawaiian, it's got to tell the story, and then they have to love it when it's finished. I try to pull all this in to these stories that people want me to tell or commemorate about their life and put it in this piece of kapa. People still want the monarchy back. People still want things the way they were. The queen, she became a symbol of the overthrow. That's the thing. She was a very strong Hawaiian. She loved her country. Above all, she cared about her people, about the Hawaiian people.
Ke ia lili ulani kawila hama ka oi ka olilani a kane ka he kiliku I ke nei 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 na kolo 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 na kolo ilalo ke lei honua Nu'a kalani pa'a ho'ovivili pa'a ka honua. Honuaku no kanaloa eku. Wa pa'a e o mai koinoa. E o e ai.
All my kapas are alive. They all have their purpose and their story. I like to see it when it's worn. I just like to see it in use and that appreciation for it. You know, when the hula dancers get to wear kapa to perform in, it kind of steps their performance up because they know how much work it takes to make a piece of kapa. There's room for whatever people want to do within Kapa.
No LILI UOKALANI.
I don't harbor any fears that it will ever disappear again.